set?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Quiet. So I'm back this afternoon to go through another presentation on the Town Webster Highway facility. I was most recently here to go through the existing building and facility, and tonight's presentation will be on the facility that we feel is needed. There's still a little bit of flux going on. We're working through the feasibility and concept plan that we've had, because there's been a couple of alterations, but I'm very, very confident now with the current configuration of the building we have is going to be very efficient, and I just want to outline what's needed here so you guys start to get an idea of what type of building, what it looks like, how it functions. So, as I typically do, I'll kind of describe some of the photos. This is actually a rendering of a different highway facility. This is not our exact building. We're not that far along in the design stage to have a rendering of our specific building, but this is one that's incredibly similar, that is actually going to be, I believe, going to construction fairly soon. It's actually out closer to Buffalo in the greater Rochester area, but it's a very similar size building and style, which is the open span steel structure with the single entry and single exit and administrative offices located within a portion of that. So that's what that image there is. The next here is actually our concept site plan that we have. So this slide on the right-hand side, I know it's a little small, hopefully in the handouts it's a little bit better, and we will be coming back with some additional plans on this, but this outlines our campus. So a lot of the features that are into this layout, this configuration, which is the building location, there's a truck traffic flow aspect with access to fuel, materials, maintenance, and parking in an efficient manner, which essentially means, especially as we get into winter operations, it's incredibly important that as the flow of our 18 to 24 trucks come in and out of the facility, that they're able to, in a linear fashion, access those type of things: fuel, material, parking, maintenance, all that type of stuff. If you get out of order where there's a lot of strange jockeying around, you can picture 18 trucks, if you've been on the roads lately and there's traffic, trying to all maneuver and cross each other and whatnot. So that's really a critical part of the campus overall, for that to be efficient. This one, we feel this current layout maximizes the useful space between the two properties. So at the top of the screen to the north, you'll see the 8 acres that was recently acquired in addition to the existing facility, which is all below sort of the midline there. I guess I can point to this a little bit. This is the original driveway. The existing main facility is actually right here. You see with the cursor. So this piece of property over here is the newly acquired piece. It shows how that would be utilized along with existing facilities, this being the Cliff Jones building, one of the newer buildings that was created and is still in much better condition than the main building at this location. So it maximizes that, minimal impacts to existing facilities. So kind of start laying some of these out. So that's the new highway facility down there at the bottom of the screen. That's the building with the trucks, the new building that is going to house everything the main building does now. That's where that's located, which is all the way to the southern portion of the property, currently where we store leaves and other materials. Having that there will allow the existing facility to stay open. And that's kind of a major factor in maintaining service, as well as eliminating the cost for temporary relocation. That's a very, very big factor in this that not every campus can achieve. We weren't sure if we could achieve it here, but this layout does achieve it, which is why it's the one we believe is the best and are hoping to move forward with. And it also maximizes the future use of existing buildings, primarily the Cliff Jones building. So just going along with a little more pointing to what you're looking at on the right-hand side. We have the new highway facility all the way to the south. Next is the existing Cliff Jones building. That building, as I said, is still in very good condition and will continue to be utilized. It's about a 25,000 square foot space, so it'll be a very good addition to not have to rebuild that space new. There's a lot of efficiencies there that are going to make this project have a lot more bang for the buck than some other ones. Next you have the salt barn. The salt barn is in need of replacement, so it's currently in our feasibility plan to put a new barn where the existing one is over a summer. The construction of that facility would facilitate a one-year turnaround where we wouldn't be without one for winter if we started it in the spring. Currently that is still part of this study. Further to the north, I guess northwest there, is our plan for the public mulch access, or really public access for anything outside. There'll be a paved area there that is outside our perimeter security fence that can be accessed by the public. And the primary use for that with the operations that we have would be the spring mulch pickup. Have a location that's close to us, it'll reduce the hauling, it'll reduce impacts to our residents in other areas that we've done it, things of that nature. So that'll be that portion, and then material storage. Given the new 8-acre parcel is located adjacent to a residential housing complex, there is going to be a large vegetated buffer between the two properties, between 80 and 100 feet, depending on where you are. But we still didn't want to, there's a space constraint to putting a building over there, but also having the least amount of equipment as possible, least amount of noise, least amount of impact to our neighbors was the reason that this area will be used mostly for material storage, pipe, stone, things of that nature. Essentially a storage area, not a high traffic area. So those are the key components to the site layout. A couple other little things while we're on here. The fuel island stays where it is. Right now there is no plan to replace that. It's got some years on it, but it is functioning properly, so that would remain as it is now for access by all the town departments. And then, as opposed to coming straight into the building now, there would be a corridor down the western side of the property to get to the public access of this building now. So you would travel this way down through here to get to it. It would be separated from the truck traffic by a barrier along this area. So public access in the front, our operations in the back, separated to make sure traffic is safe as we go through our daily operations. And I'm ahead of myself, but yeah, fuel island to remain. Here is the schematic or concept layout footprint for the new building. This structure, as I said, is a single span steel frame building, single entry, single exit. So what that means is there's a flow of traffic in with directional angle parking all in one direction, and then a flow of traffic out. 2 doors. Currently in our main building, there are 14, I believe, doors. So when we send 14 trucks out, 14 doors open, and there is no hot air left in that building. It has to completely reheat, regenerate. Not to mention each truck backs in and out of its own stall, between its own doorway, a slew of things that can happen as all that backing in tight spaces is. This layout eliminates it. That allows all the vehicles to be in one organized space and should make the operation of them safer and more efficient. So that's the big advantage of the style building. This configuration is for 30 trucks. Right now we currently have 18 mainline trucks and between 4 and 6 spares, so right around 24 trucks. With the recent build-out calculations that we completed over the summer about the build-out of the town, we anticipate that to be a total with spare trucks to be more like 26 to 28 trucks. But plowing equipment, we put plow equipment on 3 loaders, 2 backhoes, and at times a grader. So really in the winter time, there are other pieces of equipment that really should be maintained in a heated space. This allows some space for those large pieces of equipment that we do pile push-ups in the circle with or use in heavy storms to also be within a main heated facility with access to the maintenance bay without having to sit outside and endure the conditions in those situations. So that's the reason for the sizing. This also shows 6 main mechanic bays up in the front here. A few of these areas I'm going to dissect a little bit further. Up in the front part of the mechanics shop is going to be one of them. So 6-bay mechanic shop, locker and break rooms for 55 to 60 staff, and additional meeting spaces in the admin portion of the front of the building. So that is the Layout, as I said, we're going to break down and go into a couple of these areas in a little bit more detail. One is the maintenance bays. Another is the staff facilities, which is break room, locker room, restrooms. Basically the space that they use 90% of the time, that, as we went over in the existing conditions, is severely undersized at the moment. So we'll go over what the proposal is for those. And then the admin offices at the front, which are currently in the main building also. Those will be the breakdown. So the maintenance bays. Currently we have 20 large dump trucks and over a dozen pieces of heavy equipment. 6 bays are needed to maintain the fleet in a safe, efficient manner. The area has a single open format parts storage room on one side. Currently the parts are stored in probably closer to 3 rooms, kind of all over the place. That's as a part of the addition and the expansion of the facilities. Different rooms in the buildings turn into for different uses, and one of them is parts, and we currently have them in a lot of different places, which, as you can imagine, is a little inefficient, difficult to navigate. I know I'm still learning where everything is, that's for sure, because it's quite a complex process. The guys that have been there 20 years have it down, but it's definitely not as efficient as it could be. The separate mechanics offices are located near the critical office staff. They do have a lot of interaction between billing, ordering, going through our procurement policy with the admin staff located over here. So they're able to be in close proximity to the work that's going on, being in this location, as well as being able to go down the hall and connect with our admin staff. That's critical to them maintaining a efficient operation. And then probably the biggest part with the 6 bays versus the 2 or 3 that we have now is the space to have static projects continue without losing the ability for additional efforts. So what we find now is if we have a truck that needs a truck or a piece of equipment that needs a major work effort that takes, say, 2 or 3 weeks, and then we have 4 breakdowns, that piece that's sitting is immobile. We can't move it. You can't get around it, you can't move it, you have no space to have it there. So you start shoehorning different things in, or we're working under trucks outside and just in places that isn't efficient and safe. Having this amount of space would allow our bigger, longer-term projects to have a space of their own and still have multi-stall maneuverability for any breakdowns that occur during it, which is obviously, like most of the stuff we do, most critical during snow removal, that if stuff starts to go down, it needs to be fixed quickly. And if you already have something in there with a major overhaul that was unexpected, not putting one of those trucks in there to work on it, especially in the winter, really isn't feasible. It's not an option. So having that space is critical. The next section is the staff facilities. We touched a lot on this during the existing conditions. The new facility has men's and women's locker rooms separate, multiple sinks, toilets, and urinals. You saw the pictures of what we have now. Certainly not nearly enough in there, especially as shift work continues and a large number of staff are coming in and going back out all at once. Staff entrance that we have on this flows into the staff facilities. So there's a dedicated staff entrance to the south of the building that flows in past the dispatch office where any winter operations would be organized out of, past some other offices, and then directly into where they would store their gear or go to the bathroom. They can either go back out or into the shop in this direction, and then that goes right over to the break room, cafeteria, I even call it a training room. And the big thing with that area is that it's sized to staff, just seat all the staff in one place, which we currently struggle with when our numbers are full. We don't really have a place that we could sit as one big group and have a linear conversation. You're either looking around the corner or up, down, in through here. It makes it a little bit difficult to have meetings or address the staff completely without sort of walking around the room, which as we continue to train and have newer people come in, there's more and more need for training and presentations and all that type of activity. The third area we'll get a little more specific on is the administrative offices. This is more of a replacement. We're not adding any spaces in here except for some potential overflow space for future things that might pop up we're not aware of, addition of staff or utilization by other town staff, but very little extra because we're trying to be as efficient as possible with the design. So the conference room here is sized for 15 to 20 people. This layout has a secure entrance and waiting area. Right now, when you enter the facility, you're immediately in the facility. You have access to all parts of it, whether it's our admin staff, my office, the foreman's office, the break room, and the mechanics bay. We need, in this day and age, a little bit more security than that. So this would provide that with a sort of lobby area, and it also gives our residents a comfortable place to wait if they do have to wait for us to finish something up to address their concerns or needs. Within the other offices, office manager, office clerk, foreman's office, the spaces are a little bit larger so that they have more room for documentation and the work efforts that they do. The layout proposed here is strategic for daily communication and coordination. We need to operate as a team down there in order to be successful, so having close proximity to one another so that we continue to do that in a very organic way is critical and really important to me as we go through our daily work. So that's the main rundown of the proposed facilities. I always like to try to put a little next steps section in here. The next steps for the building itself are to seek design proposal, so a design proposal solicitation, construction management solicitation, those kind of go hand in hand as we start to formulate some of the other details about this building and getting it going. We're also reviewing performance contracting and its applicability to the project. We've had a few a kickoff meeting on that just to discuss that as a group here at the town. And then the next sort of logistical process would be begin the seeker designation process for the building with the board here in the town. So those are the steps we've got coming up. This is a picture of our newest truck jammed into one of those bays that I keep describing where they have to back out that little door. Well, it's not little, but compared to the truck, it sure feels that way when I watch them back out. And then, is there any questions or comments on the building?
I'm glad we're moving forward. This is most definitely a needed project for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my comment is that I was highway liaison until the first of this year, so I was actually able to tour some other facilities with you and some of your staff. It's exciting to see this actually coming around, and I like the way we've used the space. It's a big concern of what if we have to move out of where we are, because that was going to certainly increase the cost tremendously. So it's nice to see that we're able to keep the existing building and still get a new house. And some people who had looked at this earlier really were paying attention. I'm not too sure how many out there were. There was always some discussion about, well, if we get this 8 acres, maybe we can just put the new building there. And certainly you've done your due diligence to find that that really isn't feasible. So I think, it's, from what I see, it's a great use of the overall acreage on the site. The other thing I want to add is that early on in this, at least when I was first involved and we were doing our explorations, that you did to get together with your foreman and your staff to say, all right, if we have a new facility, what's important to you? What do you really need? So they've had a good amount of input in this plan as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they're the most critical. They know and feel this far more strongly than I do. I only have a very short period of time dealing with some of these challenges. They have a much longer period. They've I think literally a lot of cases put blood, sweat, and tears into the existing building to make it continue as long as it has for the taxpayers, for the town, and they're very, very concerned, interested, which is why it was important to all of us to make sure they were included throughout, and they still are very closely, and as we move to the next stages, certainly that way, because it is most critical to the people that use it, critical to the rest of the town in the way of the services. I think the element of staying in our current facility, which keeps us 100% operational, is also critical to the services. I think that's one of my greatest concerns as a manager, is if this was to get prolonged, we did have some kind of failure in the existing building, how it would alter our ability to perform our essential services as much as dollars. I think those concerns would be equal to me. It would be an even bigger challenge to make sure the roads are clear so that emergency vehicles can travel on in the winter and all that type of stuff if we had some kind of failure with the existing building.
Pat, I tried to kind of add up all the layout, I think, on page 3, and I came up with rough math about 77,000 square feet.
A hair more, I'd say approximately 8.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. And that is down from the original concept plans, so.
Yeah, so we talked about how we did the study on the population and the building came down.
Yeah.
So because of that, we are currently reworking the feasibility study to
Sure.
reflect the building that we feel we need. So we're here explaining the building. The reason there isn't all the other detail with it is that that feasibility study is being reworked to encompass the resizing that was driven by the recent activity. You'll see, I believe the site building plan on this is August 9th. That's when we got the revised footprint, which is dramatically smaller. Now we're going through a process to incorporate that resizing. Best described the process we went through, which was multiple different layouts on the site so that we can really describe what was put in the feasibility study. And then there's a phasing effort going on by all of us right now to really boil this down to exactly what we need now. We know the critical items on this that are going to be coming, and we want to really make sure that there is nothing in this initial proposal that would be considered extra, considered something that was above and beyond what was needed now without being short-sighted as far as the efficiency of a single building.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think the two measured twice, cut once milestone events that have happened in the last several months, at least for me. One, I think there was the feeling we got the 8 acres across the street. That's where the facility's going to go. That kind of manifested itself early in the concept plan. It doesn't work. It's fine. Those 8 acres we'll need.
Could be done with that. Yep.
That I can't minimize that study about, really realistically how big population-wise is this town going to get. Because that changed things. And that's you measured twice, cut once. I mean, if this is a once in a 50-year thing, we need to do it right. And I like the way we're going about it. I know that Patty had said you were the liaison to highways, so you got a chance to tour places. This
Bill
year,
has it now.
thank you. And
It's in good hands.
between Bill's engineering background and Pat, you kind of a combination of engineering and construction with our, we got good people really researching this. And I know you got some milestone events coming up in the next few days as we continue the process.
Yeah, the solicitation process for some of the design and coming up with the exact steps moving forward to get things solidified in a way where everybody's confident. It's great having Bill on that team. Definitely picked right up where Patty left off and has a lot of knowledge in exactly what we're doing right now. So I agree, when we have those meetings, which is very productive. I think it's really going to maximize the efficiency we can get out of this and get us a great product.
Emeritus, you gotta come up to the microphone, Barry. We need to see your face.
You can hear it.
you.
One benefit of that type of construction, besides the energy savings of only having 2 doors, you're going from 14 doors to 2 doors. What's your budget to maintain those doors each year now? About $25,000?
Yep.
That's what it costs to maintain the 14 doors, and that will be virtually eliminated.
There's no way we can get you up at the microphone, Barry?
No, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm positive.
All right.
The only other comment I have is that your location of your leaf pile.
Yeah.
You're moving it close to a neighborhood.
Nope, so that's only going to be for pickup. That is not going to be the year-round composting location.
Okay, all right.
That is going to be the public pickup location. The permanent location for the actual composting process is going to be all the way to the east,
Okay.
southeast corner by the larger cell tower, so it's actually going up against a 70-acre vacant piece of property.
So that's
year
good to hear
round.
because now you'll be avoiding some of the odor issues.
Yes, yeah, hopefully the odor heads into the woods there and not into the residential areas. In the springtime for pickup, there'll be a little bit of impact out there, but it will not be year-round. That's very intentional for that exact reason.
Perrington's had a design of this for a long time, and it's very efficient. It's much more, ours is really archaic.
I can't hear you.
I told you.
Well, I'm done.
Even with that booming voice, Mary.
Where'd the things go?
Well, for those watching at home who can't see him, the man behind the curtain, Barry Dean, 50 years, highway in town, is in the house tonight. Too bad they couldn't hear what you were saying, because, you know, you had great questions and great comments. Hopefully it'll be in the minutes.